Welcome to your weekly program, بالأحضان, a show with an accent for those without one. A couple of days ago was Super Tuesday, where, I don't know, about 20 different states, went on, the primary, and everybody decided, or trying to decide who's going to be our next president for the next 4 years. And I went to one of those in Eden Prairie High School, which a lot of people were excited. It seems like the Republicans more excited than the Democrats. And a lot of people were there and were dynamic, get the flavor of 68 for the Democrats. So what Super Tuesday is telling us, and how this is election, presidential, and Republican Party is figuring out, and the phenomenon of Trump, and nobody could figure out how this is come about and what it means to the party, what it means to the country. We'll always bring somebody who is following this, Bob Meek, a political consultant. He's going to tell us what the direction is going, the election, the Republican Party, and what's going on with the Democrats, with Clinton and Sanders. Thank you so much for coming, Bob. It's very exciting. I don't know if you're having fun with this, but it's becoming entertaining watching the Republican debate. And every time you say it cannot get worse, it gets worse. And so you watched, you followed at least the Super Tuesday. I was there. And tell us a little bit about, there's a lot of analysis, a lot of polling, a lot of what's going on, who won, and all. It's not a game, but it seems like they nullify each other. And if you are watching closely, you don't know where to go.
With the sensible middle of the Republican Party, just call that Jeb Bush. And
he's gone.
And he didn't even make it to Super Tuesday. He got put out the week before in South Carolina. And so the competition is between the very right and the extreme right and Donald Trump, the who the heck knows, right?
Every week is a different.
The normal, moderate, congressional majority type Republicans, they are in a state of panic that Donald Trump and his movement is going to take over their party, and in the process cost them control of the Senate and the House, and lose the presidency as well.
Yeah, you're right, because now he's running on his own without establishment. So what does Trump phenomenon, what does he stand for as far as the Republican Party?
Well,
why is he a threat?
The Republican constituency believes they've been misled. The word they like in their party is lied to. But we'll skip
the Clinton did.
Yeah, we'll skip that word for a second. They've been misled. They have been promised, elect us and we'll repeal Obamacare, and elect us and we'll stop this terrible initiative of Obama, and we'll stop that terrible initiative. Well, see, it doesn't happen because you'd have to have the president not there to veto their crazy measures.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't make that part of the conversation at the time, and as a result, those voters, who are as legitimate as any other voters in the country, are just fed up with the people in the Republican Party who made those false deals with them. Now, Donald Trump, not to make any aspersions on real estate salespeople, but he has this notion that he's selling a product, and he is
Packaging and
understands his customer. His customer does not believe in these traditional means, either of the product or of how it's sold. So he's just walked in and decided, I'm going to present myself as a new kind of He has a couple little kind of moderate stances. Also, George Bush lied us into the war. I mean, he's got some things that could really be upsetting Republicans. But he also brings in the, I'm just going to have a rally every night campaign. And he has, as they say, rewritten the rules of politics.
when he was coming up, was he serious about going all the way, or it took a life of its own, that movement that we're talking about?
The thing that I admire about the marketing, let's say he's just running a marketing campaign. Not that that's not what politics is in anyway, but
you're still a brand, you're still a man.
And it just turned out to be much more successful than you would have thought. I mean, the fellow with $130 million in super PAC money, Jeb Bush, the name of presidents, that's who was supposed to stop Donald Trump. And Trump went in, and in the first debate, in his announcement, he vilifies Mexicans as rapists and other type of criminals. And then in the debate, the first thing he announces is, I'm done with political correctness. Okay. Well, Jeb Bush is about the most politically correct, when you have Barbara and as a result, Trump, he almost immediately puts Jeb in this box, and he labels it low energy Jeb Bush. Well, the short version of all this is Trump is selling testosterone. That he is, for all these people in the Republican or the whatever group, they are so tired of this weak Obama and these weak Republicans in the Senate and these weak people in the mainstream media. Trump he's selling them dominance. He's selling them
a Hummer, an SUV.
That's exactly. I mean, he is selling strength, and the way the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted is immaterial. He can change his positions as he does during the course of a day. But what he has to continue at all times is to be the person of strength. And in the Republican Party, the only person of strength left is Ted Cruz. And we'll have to see. I mean, if anybody has a chance of stopping Trump, I think it'd be Senator Cruz.
But Ted Cruz is not supported by the establishment in the Senate.
Exactly.
So it's a dilemma here.
For Republic, as Lindsey Graham said, it's be like choosing between being poisoned or shot. I mean, which do you want? And honest to God, to them, Trump is poison. Ted Cruz, they understand. They've had to deal with ornery people all their lives. But Trump, here's a person, and it's why one of the reasons he is popular is he can't be controlled. Now, the other day, he said, well, if I tell the military something to do something, they're going to do it, and there's just no question. And the debate person says, well, yeah, but what if it's this order they don't want? No, when I tell them they're going to do it.
They love him.
Yeah. Well, within about 16 hours, the reality of the military state of
Sink it in.
of the United States dawned on Donald Trump, and he had to come out and reverse his position. Not only am I never going to give the armed forces an unlawful order, I'm going to check with the generals first.
And this is the reality of how the system works. You know, most of the system work by military establishment and intelligence. You know, in one way or another. Some of them, like the generals, running the show. But it seems like Trump's biggest threat is he's exposing the system. And most of the people who are criticizing him are also their hand is dirty. They are part of the what's wrong with the system.
My favorite political commentator is Chris Matthews. He has such a good background in politics, and he picked up before I think anyone else, probably 2+ months ago, and you know, he just described it as Trump has let everyone in on the joke.
I see.
You don't defeat Trump by saying, oh, this thing was hypocritical, or this was wrong, or this, because Trump is holding up the whole system of politics as some version of, what do they call it, wrestling entertainment, WW, whatever.
Yeah.
And he's just saying,
It's all fake, it's all stage, it's all a fraud.
yeah, and I can put on a show better than they can, and you're going to get a little more out of it because we all know that it's just a game that's been rigged against us, and I'm going to play it, and I'm going to take a little bit. Oh, obviously, but I'll give more to you than
well,
you're getting from the
At least I'll be honest
currents.
about it.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, and I think so. You know, when people talk about the issues that drives electorate in the Republican Party, job employment, people, but really when you look into it's more cultural issue. The fact we have a black president for 8 years, the fact that we couldn't get the gay marriage, whatever. So. And is he exposing that too? Because he seems liberal about this issue in some way.
Trump, when I listen to him and I hear him say, "I'm not going to touch Social Security. I'm not going to see the retirement age increased, and I'm going to see that there's nobody dying on the streets." And I mean, he has just enough of. Oh, and I'm not going to get us into any more of these wars like George W. Bush. He has enough sort of anti-Republican positions that he gets folks to give him a second hearing.
Yeah.
But what needs to be remembered, you got to kind of slap yourself up beside the face is, remember, this is the fellow who in 2010 undertook this huge national effort to label President Obama as a Kenyan. That
He was behind this person?
yes, he was the leader of birtherism, and he was the leader of denying legal birth certificates. And in political terms, they simply, that's all dog whistle. Mm-hmm. That's the notion of you can't say the N-word. Instead, you say, oh, he's kind of this illegitimate guy from Kenya who has this false blah, blah, blah. And it's just a way to just delegitimize a properly elected
Didn't he try the same thing with Ted Cruz?
And so Ted is from Canada, and Marco is little.
Yeah. Latin.
Yeah, the one of the candidates that are standing at the moment, John Kasich from Ohio, the governor, he's kind of stayed out of Trump's range, and
He's trying to be the nice guy. Last debate.
adult in the room.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, he strikes me very interesting. Here, those guys, they want to go and kick ISIS asses. They want to go and carpet, bomb carpet the Middle East. But he says something very interesting when they were fighting like kids, like in a classroom or a schoolyard. He says about the gay marriage and what he said. We need whatever happened to turn our sheet, and can we get along?
Right.
So for him, we can get along here, but for non-American or colored, that's a different. You're not turning the other sheet.
And from your expertise, if you want to know, you go to Columbus. You go to this is the middle of the middle of the middle, and that's what Kasich has represented for 20 years in Congress and now 2 terms as governor. And I even heard him speak one evening about, it was after one of the caucuses, that, well, what we really need to do in America is slow down.
Really?
Well,
that's not very Republicans.
No, but it's very much sitting on your front porch for a presidential campaign in Ohio.
They're drinking Kool-Aid.
And so I would say he's the anti-Trump. I mean, he's not in the bitter battle or anything, but here's a guy who's intelligent, who can actually tell you who all the leaders are in
Name them.
Mideast, and he knows which country has what resources and what kind of political leadership. He's the intelligent version of so he's the last remnant.
Yeah,
I mean, Jeb Bush, they
gone.
vanquished all of that, but we'll see if we come up.
But that's not appealing to the public too. What is his base?
Well, there's
This is the one who's going to stay home.
right. Politics today is just a drug. I mean, it's just a matter of, okay, you've got eyeballs out there. They need to have adrenaline induced, and boy, Trump gives them that like nobody else can. Cruz is next to second. Kasich just puts you to sleep. He's the opposite. He's the well, as I said, he's the anti-Trump.
Yeah, he's not making headlines.
And so, but there's always a role for the anti-person.
Nice.
And the Republicans, when they are, the rubber meets the road, is either Trump gets these 1,237 delegates in advance of the convention, or he doesn't. And if he doesn't, they go into the convention. They're not going to give it to Trump. But they can't give it to any of the other candidates because those people have all been
they've gone
de
through
facto defeated.
Yeah.
So they're going to turn around and find somebody.
Not Mitt Romney.
No, but I was going to say, this is Rob Portman, the senator from Ohio. He's a moderate Republican that, was...
But what that tell us to the political process? This is the people who voted for Trump. They vote him in. Why he's out? Can he run at that time? Can he run as independent?
No, and I don't think he needs to. I mean, at that point, his folks are going to stay home. I mean, unless I mean, I think who is the second Trump in America? Huh? There isn't one. There's, who are you going to try to
Well,
pick?
if we go to the Democrats, the people who are upset at the system, the Trump of the Democrats, they're going to Sanders.
To Bernie. And,
yeah, Bernie.
And it's a fair comparison in the sense that both Trump and Sanders are people who are overturning the system. But it stops right there. I mean, you've got decades in congressional service and in elected service prior as a mayor.
Yeah, two different candidates.
Sanders is so much different. He would be no serious Trump person is ever going to vote for a Sanders. And I don't think any Sanders people would ever vote for Trump. It's kind of a media creation.
Yeah, of course. And just the similarity of relationship to the system. But they are angry for wrong reasons. So when he says making America great again, what is this greatness he's talking about?
When things about gay people were quiet, when black people didn't take our jobs. I mean, it's all of the bad old days, and that's what they're talking about.
When other non-Trump Republicans talk about America's greatness, everybody will mention Reagan. That's their Ayatollah.
Yeah.
So, right. but he never mentioned Reagan. Doesn't mention that much or that much.
Yeah. Reagan. It's who else? I mean, are they going to name Nixon? Are they going to name the Bushes? And
that's why you always go back to Reagan. They're not going to even.
And so it's so safe. And also in actual Republican dogma, Dwight Eisenhower, who was fantastic president, built the national highway system, et cetera.
Yeah, but it was a different party at the time.
He's hated. I mean, that is, he was worse than the Democrats. You know, that's so the orthodoxy. But the people always say, "Oh, this election, it's a huge choice." Blah 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 blah. Well, actually, this one is.
Yeah. This is different than anyone we've seen. So, we have a few minutes left here. If we come to the Democrats now, it seems like the Republicans do not have the super delegates as many as the Democrats. So probably they not have so much leverage to when they go to Washington. But the Democrats, it seems the excitement about Bernie and that direction. Now on Super Tuesday, Clinton is turning the wheel a little bit.
An irony in this is that Sanders turns out to run best in the states that are all white or have the fewest numbers of minorities. And Clinton is successful in this race only because she gets 85% of the African vote in South Carolina and then the series of Super Tuesday Democratic states. And
but those are the main candidates for the Democrats.
Yeah, and you opened with the reference to 68 and the interesting year. Bobby Kennedy was moving right along to carry the primaries. He got in late, but had this great victory in Indiana and so forth. And then they get up to Oregon, and suddenly Gene McCarthy is back from the dead and carries it.
Second coming.
And somebody goes to a Kennedy advisor and says, well, there are no minorities in Oregon.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, McCarthy. go into California, McCarthy, loses by 10 points to Bobby Kennedy. This is the Clinton-Sanders dynamic. But Sanders brings a lot of enthusiasm to the campaign. Good Lord, if Clinton didn't have an opponent, we'd have absolutely nothing to talk about.
Love Mubarak.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Bob Meek, a political consultant, talking about Super Tuesday and the direction the presidential election going to is kind of, between the angry Republican and the establishment in the Democratic Party. We'll see you next week. Assalamu alaikum, and God bless you all.